So you might be asking yourself, how'd that second guru go, or your local mentor go? For lack of better words, shitty. This person who I thought was going to show me the ropes and help me get started in real estate basically gave me their login to a national guru, so that person can try to teach me how to do real estate. Every time I had a deal or property under contract, I would send it to him for a review to make sure that I underwrote the property, making sure that I wouldn't lose my shirt, never to be heard from. Call him, never answered his phone. He was always in the mountains or on vacation, not letting me know that he wasn't going to be reachable. Long story short, after about a good 9 months, realizing that this is not going to happen, I stopped going to him, stopped calling him, stopped using him as a resource. The only good thing that came out of that is I met a good real estate agent that helped me submit my offers and helped me make sure that I knew the value of properties before trying to put an offers in, so I wasn't getting in over my head. Then same year after I got rid of that local guru, I invested in a national education program, which I thought was great because I met a lot of people, some to friends to this day. How I got my first 2 wholesales in the business. I was like, great, I'm starting to finally make money. Back then, I think, making 5-10 grand on a wholesale deal was great, but I made, I think, $7,500 on my first one and $5 grand on my second one. So I was like, oh wow, I'm making money on the real estate. This is exactly what I'm supposed to do. Well, then it started getting hard trying to get people to get my deals because they realized that I didn't have the money to close on them. So all they would do is wait till I backed out of the contract, and they would just get it in under the price that I had offered to sell to the end buyer. So I was getting underbid, or people were just taking the properties away from me without paying me my fee for finding a deal for them. So I stopped going to those people, which left me with nobody to sell my deals to. So then I moved on from wholesaling to a new thing at the time, which was Airbnb arbitrage, where I would rent a place from somebody and then they would allow me to Airbnb their property. And long story short on that, I did it for 2 years. I barely broke even, and my partner, who was my mentor at the time, couldn't even keep our occupancy up so that we could be profitable. I was working military, which means I didn't have a lot of time on my hands, and trying to keep logging into Airbnb to keep the algorithm going and try to get our occupancy up so that we could turn a profit. I was barely able to keep it at 40%, which 65% is where you needed to be in order to be profitable. So got out of that right before COVID, and thank goodness, because that would have been hard trying to pay for 2 mortgages basically during that time. And then I found another guru who's still my mentor this day. He's out of Vegas, and bought 3 properties up in Minnesota. So I told you this is about the good, bad, and ugly. And I say that because anybody who's done real estate and had to deal with contractors realize that contractors can make or break a project. Well, silly me, I didn't really vet my contractor very well. He was a general contractor, he had a good general contractor license, but his skill set was basically that of a handyman. And kind of a little tidbit right now, I'm still fighting this gentleman in court because after taking tens of thousands of dollars out of my pocket, he thought he was still owed more money when he had never even accomplished a task for what he had been paid for up to that point. And so once I realized that I wasn't getting anything for my money, I fired him, and then he put liens on the property. and that's what I'm fighting on right now. So all of 2023, I basically put my business on hold, fighting this guy in court. He went from putting a $145,000 lien on my property, which would prevented me from refinancing or even selling it, to basically $0 after he got a lawyer, and the lawyer's like, you can't do this, you've been paid. And still have to take him to court for slander of title, basically, filing a false lien, just so I can try to recoup some of my money. Which brings me to today. Actually, back in 2021, I forgot to add that in there, I had a long-term rental that I kept for 2 years up in Tallahassee, and sold that because of property management company. Told you, good, bad, and ugly. Property management company had a hard time collecting. First tenant I had in there was great, and then after 10 months, they stopped getting payment. Come to find out that the tenant just packed up and left, didn't let nobody know. Then they got another tenant there that decided that they were going to have their friends live in the house with them that weren't on lease. Trying to get payment from them was hard. They'd give like a third of the payment every couple of weeks, and then pay the full balance off at the end of the month, right before the next month was due. So that went on for a whole year. I said, do not renew that lease, get them out. And I had a hard time with them, so I fired them, got a new property management company. They wanted to keep them in. 30 days later, we had to evict them. And then they was like, well, we're going to have a hard time renting this property out because of where it's located. I'm like, I have no problem before you. Now all of a sudden, I'm going to have a problem. So I decided just to sell that property and get out of the situation, because obviously I couldn't find a good property manager. Plus, you can't have a good property manager. You can't vet your tenants well enough to make sure that you have good tenants in the property. Back in 2022, I decided to invest in 3 different mentors. One for multifamily, one to do creative, which you guys already know, Pace, and the third one, my mentor from Vegas. I kind of got all 3 of them all at the same time, and up to this point, like I said, after the 3 properties that I had up in Minnesota, I decided, all of 2023, that was not going to be something I needed to focus on. I couldn't focus on anything else because all my reserves were spent fighting them in court, trying to pay off vendors that hadn't gotten paid yet, to try to keep them from putting liens on my property. So now it's today, and I've picked 2024 to be my kind of springboard, my reinventing myself and starting anew. So why do you tell us that story? Because if you don't understand all the experiences I've had in the past, then you won't understand why I do what I do or make the decisions that I make. So right now, tomorrow, I will be going to Colorado Springs to look at a house so that I can hopefully get it under contract and get my first co-living property up and running. So that is my promise to you guys that next week, or actually on Monday now, since I'm going to do Mondays and Saturdays, to let you know how that goes. And hopefully within a month I'll have my first, well actually probably 2 months, because the seller is going through divorce and needs time to go find a place to stay. So yeah, so hopefully by this time next week I'll have it under contract. I'll let you guys know how it goes. I'll be doing a walkthrough, so you'll get to see how I evaluate properties, see how what things to look for, what things you can ignore or not put too much attention to it, and bring you along on this journey. I hope you had a great time. I know it's kind of long, but this is how you learn. This is how you find out about me. And we'll talk soon.